Settle into your pillow. Let the day loosen its grip. There's nothing you need to understand tonight, only something you can gently drift into. Between one breath and the next, there is a place we all visit. Not fully awake, not fully asleep, a quiet shoreline of the mind. Here thoughts soften, edges blur, time begins to behave strangely. You may have felt it before, that moment when your body feels heavy, but your thoughts still wander. When sounds from the room blend with images that don't quite belong to the real world. When you are aware, but not trying to be. This is the thin line between dreaming and waking. And every night, without ceremony or announcement, your mind steps onto it. From the outside, it looks simple. You close your eyes, your breathing slows, your body rests. But inside your brain, something far more delicate is unfolding. Electrical rhythms begin to change, not suddenly, but like a dimmer switch turning down the day. The fast, sharp patterns of alertness soften into slower rolling waves. Your senses don't shut off, they fade. The world doesn't disappear, it dissolves. This is not sleep yet, and it is no longer wakefulness. It is a transition state. Scientists call it hypnagogia, but names don't capture how it feels. Here, thoughts drift without logic, images appear without meaning. A face, a color, a memory that never quite happened. You might hear your name being called, or feel like you're falling, just for a moment. A sudden jolt, a breath pulled in sharply. Your brain is testing the boundary. Am I safe to let go? This threshold is ancient, long before language, long before science. Humans noticed this space. Shamans believed it was where visions arrived. Artists called it inspiration. Mystics thought it was the doorway between worlds. Modern neuroscience sees it differently, but no less beautifully. At this edge, the brain begins to loosen its grip on reality testing. The part of you that constantly checks, is this real? Starts to quiet down. Meanwhile, imagination, memory, and emotion begin to speak more freely. That's why dreams don't announce themselves. They don't say, now entering dream mode. They simply arrive. And you don't notice the exact moment you cross over. 1 second you're listening to a voice. The next, you are the voice. 1 second you're lying in bed. The next, you're walking through a place that doesn't exist, yet feels completely real. This is the miracle of the thin line. It's not a switch, it's a slope, a gentle descent where waking thoughts stretch and soften until they become something else entirely. And tonight, we are not rushing past it. We are staying here for a while because this boundary, this quiet in between, is where most of the fascinating things about the human mind reveal themselves. It's where dreams begin to form, where consciousness changes shape, where awareness learns to let go without disappearing. In the next chapter, we'll drift deeper into what actually happens inside the brain at this edge, how neurons slow their chatter, how reality loosens its rules, and why this fragile moment is so important for both sleep and imagination. For now, stay here on the shoreline where waking ends and dreaming quietly waits. Chapter 2: When the Brain Begins to Drift. As you rest here, balanced between awareness and sleep, your brain is quietly changing the way it speaks to itself, not with words, but with rhythm. When you're fully awake, your brain hums with fast, restless energy. Thoughts jump quickly. Attention darts from one idea to the next. But as sleep approaches, those sharp signals begin to soften. The brain doesn't shut down, it retunes. Electrical activity slows into longer rolling patterns, like waves replacing ripples on a lake. This is the beginning of the descent. In this state, the brain reduces its connection to the outside world. Sounds don't disappear, they lose urgency. Light behind closed eyelids turns abstract. Your body grows heavier, not because it's failing, but because it's being released from constant instruction. Muscles no longer need to be ready. Posture no longer matters. The brain sends fewer commands. And with that quiet, something else becomes louder: the inner world. Memory, imagination, and emotion. Systems that usually stay in the background begin to rise. That's why fragments appear, a place you haven't thought about in years, a voice without a face, a sensation that feels meaningful even if you don't know why. The brain is no longer prioritizing accuracy, it's prioritizing association. Ideas don't need to make sense here, they only need to connect. This is why the boundary between dreaming and waking feels strange but familiar, like recognizing a melody you've never heard before. At this stage, your sense of time also begins to loosen. Minutes stretch, moments collapse. A single image can feel long and deep, even though it lasted only a heartbeat. This isn't confusion, it's a different mode of consciousness. The brain areas responsible for logic and self control, the parts that ask, "Does this make sense?" are gently dimming their lights. Meanwhile, emotional and visual regions remain softly illuminated. You are still aware, but you are no longer supervising. And that's the key. The thin line between dreaming and waking is not about losing consciousness. It's about releasing control. The mind stops insisting on order. That's why creative ideas often appear here, why insights slip in just before sleep, why dreams don't follow rules yet feel meaningful. In this drifting state, the brain allows patterns to emerge without judgment. It lets memories blend. It lets images float without explanation. Nothing is trying to be correct. Everything is allowed to be felt. This is also why the body sometimes startles. That sudden falling sensation, that quiet jerk of the limbs. The brain is checking one last time. Are we safe enough to let go completely? Once the answer is yes, the boundary fades. But before it does, there is this moment. Quiet, fluid, deeply human, where consciousness changes shape. In the next chapter, we'll explore what happens when this thin line dissolves entirely, how the mind crosses fully into dreaming, and why awareness sometimes follows it inside. For now, let your thoughts wander without direction. Let images come and go. There's nothing you need to hold on to. You're drifting exactly where you're meant to be. Chapter 3, Crossing into the Dream. At some point, without warning, the thin line disappears. There is no sound, no signal, no movement you can point to and say, "This is where waking ended." One moment you're drifting, the next you're inside. This is the strange kindness of sleep. It never asks for permission. As your brain continues to slow, something remarkable happens. Awareness doesn't vanish, it changes its shape. The outside world recedes almost completely now. The room fades. The weight of the body becomes distant, abstract, like a thought instead of a sensation. And in that quiet space, the mind begins to generate its own reality. Images stop floating aimlessly. They organize. Scenes form. Movement appears. A sense of fear emerges, even though there is no physical place. This is the birth of the dream. Inside the brain, communication shifts inward. Instead of responding to signals from the eyes and ears, the mind listens to itself. Memory networks begin replaying fragments of the day, emotions, faces, half-finished thoughts, not as records, but as raw material. The brain isn't remembering, it's reimagining. This is why dreams feel real while they are happening. The same regions that interpret reality during waking life are now active. Only this time, they are working without external input. To the brain, the dream is not a simulation. It is the present moment. And this is where the boundary becomes truly thin. Because sometimes a part of you comes along. You may notice this as a faint awareness, a subtle sense of, I'm here, not fully awake, but not entirely gone. This is why some dreams feel vivid, intentional, even personal. Why you can feel emotion deeply inside them. Why fear tightens the chest or joy feels expansive. The mind hasn't shut down consciousness. It has simply unplugged it from the physical world. Here, logic no longer governs reality. Time bends, places merge, people shift shape without explanation. And yet, it all feels natural. Because dreams are not built on rules, they are built on meaning. The brain prioritizes emotional truth over factual accuracy. What matters is not what happens, but how it feels. A doorway can lead to childhood. A stranger can carry familiarity. A moment can stretch into an eternity. This dream logic is not broken thinking. This is thinking freed from constraints. And occasionally, something rare happens. Awareness sharpens. You realize softly, quietly, this is a dream. Not as an alarm, not as a shock, but as a gentle recognition. When that happens, the thin line reappears, not between waking and sleeping, but between observing and participating. You are inside the dream and also aware of it. This is not common, but it is deeply human. It reveals something profound about consciousness, that it is not an on-off switch, but a spectrum, a glow that can dim, soften, flicker without ever fully going out. In the final chapter, we'll reflect on why this thin line exists at all, what it tells us about the nature of awareness, and why drifting between worlds every night may be one of the most important things your mind ever does. For now, let the dream continue forming. Let awareness rest gently inside it. Nothing needs to be controlled. Nothing needs to be understood. Just drift. Chapter 4: Why the Line Exists. Every night, without effort or intention, you cross a boundary that science still struggles to fully explain. You let go of the waking world and trust your mind to carry you somewhere else. The thin line between dreaming and waking is not a flaw in consciousness. It is a feature, a carefully balanced transition that allows the mind to change states without breaking. If sleep came like a switch, on or off, the mind would resist it. consciousness would cling. Instead, the brain offers a shoreline, a place to slow down, a place where awareness can loosen its grip without falling into nothingness. This gentle gradient is what makes sleep possible. It allows memories to be released from their fixed positions. It allows emotions to soften and reorganize. It allows the mind to wander safely without demand. From a scientific perspective, this transition helps the brain shift its priorities. During waking life, attention is outward: survival, focus, decision making. But in sleep, the work turns inward. Connections are strengthened, experiences are integrated, emotional weight is redistributed. Dreams are not distractions from rest, they are part of how rest works. They help the mind process what words cannot. They give shape to feelings that never reached the surface during the day. And the thin line, that quiet threshold, is the doorway through which all of this happens. It is why you can fall asleep listening to a voice and wake hours later without remembering when it faded. It is why awareness can dissolve without fear, because the mind is never abandoned, it is guided. Even now, as you rest, your brain continues this ancient rhythm, slowing, drifting, reshaping. The same rhythm humans have followed for tens of thousands of years, under stars, beside fires, in darkness and silence. Long before we had names for neurons or brainwaves, we trusted this transition, and every night we still do. The thin line between dreaming and waking reminds us of something simple and profound. Consciousness is not rigid, it is fluid. It can stretch, it can soften, it can fade without disappearing. And perhaps that's why sleep feels safe. Because even when you let go, something in you remains, aware enough to dream, quiet enough to rest. So if you find yourself hovering at the edge tonight, thoughts drifting, images forming, know that you're exactly where you're meant to be, at the boundary, at the threshold, at the place where the mind learns how to rest by gently becoming something else. The universe continues its slow motion outside. Stars burn, planets burn, and here, inside this small human moment, your mind drifts peacefully between worlds. Good night and sleep well.